Hello, everyone. We are live. Yeah, we're going to talk about a very difficult book, a very dark book, The Girl Next Door from Jack Ketchum. And yeah, I've got my awesome friend Mark from TheBookThing with me. We're going to do a deep dive into this book. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm pretty good, Cliff. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well, eh? Let me get this.
Normally when we get together, we come on for some like giggles and a bit of banter and chat, but I don't feel like this is the book for that.
No. You know, sometimes when I do book reviews live, cheers. Yeah, I think I need some of that as well. Sometimes when I do book reviews live, one of the prompts, one of the things that I type in there is my favorite parts of the book. This is not the kind of book.
My favorite part of this book.
Yeah, it's not that kind of book. You know, I mean, it's a tough read. It's a very hard read. Yeah, but we're going to talk about that. But let's talk about first some concerns before reading, because we both had thoughts, and I've lost him. That's a pity. Okay. So we're going to just have to be patient. Got some technical difficulties. Right. Let's just wait. But yeah, people, and he's back, I hope. Yeah.
What the hell just happened there?
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Yeah, we talked about some concerns we had before reading the book. And I'm going to start because I know you had legitimate concerns. I also had a concern because the book's infamous, right? Everyone talks about it being a difficult book. And I was concerned going in, you know, am I going to DNF it? Is this a book that is going to be too much for me? And how is this going to affect my reading? At the whole time you're thinking, oh no, it's just going to get too much. And it's interesting because I was thinking like, you know, you have a preconceived idea of a book and that affects the way that you read it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had concerns about that. And yes, I finished the book. And yes, it is tough going. And, you know, it gets more and more and more difficult. You think you've reached a point where, no, I can manage this. And then it just gets more difficult. But I know you had something else that you were really concerned about, because this is based on a real life case, Sylvia Likens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, like full disclosure for anyone who isn't aware, but we'd originally intended to read this back in September rather than in October, and I had a family bereavement at the time in September, and I just had to make a decision right from the get-go. I was like, I can't read this book this month because I just can't put my head in that dark place while other things are going on in life at the same time. And I think I had the concerns about how I was going to react to that. You know, I mean, there's you know, there's all of the things around the story and everything like that. The one thing I'd say is I think it's right to have that sort of concern going into this book. I think most books you look at, and most books, you know, as people who are on BookTube, one of the things we say all the time is no spoilers. I think this is a book you have to go in having spoiled it right from the get-go, because you need to know what you're getting into.
Yeah, and this entire chat is a spoiler. I mean,
yeah, totally.
But I mean, if you know the case, there's not a lot to spoil. You know, it's about the message. It's yeah. You got to go into this book, I think, a little bit prepared. I mean, I went in it. I read up about the case.
Yeah, same here.
And it's horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying. And in fact, I heard that Jack Ketchum actually toned it down a bit. It's kind of hard to believe, but he did.
He did at certain points. And again, one of the things about this book is that it has been kind of marketed a little bit as extreme horror. And I don't think that's really the case, because I think the thing about extreme horror is it's a bit like extreme death metal music, or, you know, like slasher movies and things like that. It's stupidly violent. It's almost to a cartoonishly degree violent, and it's almost like there's almost a reaction of giggling at how gory and horrific it is in something like extreme horror. I think this isn't that, because there isn't, while there's brutal things described in this, there isn't any reveling in it.
Yeah, it's not gratuitous at all.
I don't think so, actually.
We're going to come to that, because Jack Ketchum's writing, and also the fact that this is first person narration, we're going to talk about that as well.
Yeah,
but the writing is very, and it's the same for other books I've read by him off season. Yeah, it's very to the point. It's not gratuitous, but it's there. He shows it. He doesn't blink.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah,
no,
and
actually, I think there are points when he does.
No, yeah, oh, yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. We're going to talk about the narrator and turning away and saying, "I'm not going to show you this."
Yeah,
but when he shows violence, it's unflinching. And I agree with your point of this is when I said on my review on my channel that this book is not terrifying as such, but it is very dark, the darkest book I've read. It's very bleak and it's very horrifying. And in that case, it is the most terrifying.
It's stressful.
The more I've thought about it, the more I think about this book, is that, and the more I've actually read up on it now, and I've thought about it, and it's a very important book, a very relevant book.
Agreed.
But it goes to incredibly dark places.
Oh, agreed.
And I wouldn't recommend it to anyone.
Nope.
But I'd say if you can read it and get through it, then read it, because it's important.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, the other thing that you mentioned to me on Discord was how, whether the writing and the fact that it's a real life case, that it wouldn't be kind of demeaning of the fact that it's a real life case. Talk about that.
I think was the word I used when I was describing it. Yeah. That was a concern going in. I mean, like, he's taking something that really happened. He's writing a fiction which is presented by a lot of people as extreme horror. I don't necessarily agree that it is, but with that view in mind, given what extreme horror is, I kind of was looking at this and thinking, is this going to be exploitative? And without, I mean, like I said, this whole thing is a spoiler, but I don't think it is, actually, genuinely.
It's not. And I mean, that brings us to the next thing, which is thoughts. And I'm not talking about now we go in depth into everything. I'm talking about just overall general thoughts of your read. It's not exploitative. It's important. And it's very dark, very bleak. And at the end, I felt emotional, very emotional. While you're reading it, you feel angry.
Yeah,
I'm not ashamed to admit there were some parts where I literally teared up.
Yeah,
my eyes were blurry. I was tearing up.
It was
because it is dark, people. And I've read a lot of extreme horror, and this may not be as extreme, but it just feels more real. And
do you know what that was for me? Sorry, Cliff.
Yeah.
The only other book that I remember being like this, and it wasn't a novelization. It wasn't a fictional version of something happened. It was more of a novelization of historical events, and that was Schindler's Ark by Thomas Keneally, which was made into the film Schindler's List. And the book is written. It's written like a novel. If you've read like In Cold Blood by Truman Capote or something like that, so it's like it's like a novel retelling of a historical event, and that's what Schindler's Ark is like. And that's the only other book I remember reading that made me feel like this. It made me feel sick. It made me feel annoyed, and it made me feel incredibly sad.
It feels grimy and dirty.
That not to that degree. This one did.
He puts a finger, and we're going to talk about this. He puts a finger on the nature of evil, as far as I'm concerned. He puts his finger on humanity, and and humanity and morality and choices we make and don't make. Because there's a lot in this book about that. But I'm sorry, you mentioned Schindler's List. I've watched that movie twice. I bawled. I'm not ashamed to say I don't cry at movies, but that movie made me bawl my eyes out.
Oh, same here.
That was a very heartbreaking, powerful movie. Yeah.
The book Schindler's Ark is like it. It's if you've. I mean, like I know this is not. I know your channel's to do with horror rather than sort of historical fiction and things like that, and more biographical things. But actually, Schindler's Ark, the book, is fantastic.
Yeah. Thanks for the recommendation. I'm going to look that up. Yeah. And let's just talk about rating right now. Initially, I was going to give the book 4 stars because I didn't feel good about reading the book. I felt hateful. I felt, I didn't enjoy the book, and yet I felt completely and utterly transformed by the book and moved and saddened and heartbroken and angry. And so it's not going. You can't talk about it in terms of enjoying the book. You've got to see it in a different way. And I think it should be 5 stars, really. Except maybe the ending, but we'll get to the ending. Yeah. The ending let me down a little bit. We both spoke about that. Ending let me down, but your rating?
Okay, for me, now, I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to doing my rating. I mean, like, I've worked in the software industry for years. So when I'm doing rating for books, I have actually got literally an Excel spreadsheet, and I break it down by the various different things about the book. So I do it based on characterization and style of writing and themes and all of that sort of stuff. And I kind of weight them to sort of say that some things are more important than others. So setting is not as important as, for example, writing style.
You really go all out, eh? You really go all out. You really go all out.
I'm literally the nerd. Do you know something? I did a video on my nerdy spreadsheet, and it's not the least watched video on my channel, but it's pretty close. Anyway,
I'm going to look out for that. I'll look out for that.
It's probably about the 3rd video I ever did. But the final category that I always use, and it's the category that kind of is kind of the heaviest weighted, and that's how much I enjoyed it. So, how much I'm engaged with something, how good the writing is, how good the characters are, all of those, they kind of get trumped a little bit by how much I enjoyed it. And this kind of was 5 stars in everything, and how much I enjoyed it brought it down a lot, because as much as I appreciated it, and it was how important it is, as you said, I can't hand on my heart say I enjoyed reading it.
Yeah, and I actually I felt the same way about Exquisite Corpse by Poppy T. Bright. I thought it was a very beautifully written novel, very well written novel. And it really brought up some important topics, but it's a very sick novel, and it's not the kind of novel you enjoy in the traditional sense. But I gave it 4 stars for that reason as well. So you raised me. Say hello to some people.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Who have we got on?
Hi, Nikhil.
Oh, Nikhil's here. Excellent. Hey, Nikhil, how are you doing, man?
The best, most unpleasant book I've ever read. Yeah. I have to agree with that.
I have no notes.
My biggest fan.
Oh,
I think when we get into the book in a little bit more detail, I think she might disappear.
I don't blame you, and that's fine. Yeah. There's no shame in knowing your limits in this book.
Yeah. I couldn't stop reading, even though I wanted to at every turn. Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you there, Nikhil. Honestly, yeah.
It's hard to look away, right? Hard to look away.
Really was.
Yeah. Okay, Anita Murray. Yeah. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Matt. How you doing, man? Yeah. Good to see you.
Yeah. Then we've got creativity therapy. Hi. Okay, we just got a lot of highs and hellos and hello back. And,
that's all good.
Yeah, how's everyone? We good? Let me just say I'm only 4 chapters into the Night Parade and I'm really liking writing. Good. Okay, so let me go back to the banners. This next one, yeah, I think this is important and people overlook this. We're talking about the setting.
Yeah.
I think everything about this novel screams realism.
Yeah.
Yeah, reality. And normally when you think about reality, you think about, nice peaceful suburb, your neighbors, everything's normal. Normality is reality. And you wouldn't expect evil to exist in a suburb, right? What you gonna say? Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's not just the suburb. It's also time and place as well.
Yeah.
Because I think there is very much a tendency to romanticize the 1950s in America as this, the time when everything was pretty and to be fair, people in America at the time, it was post Second World War. They didn't have to rebuild in the same way as most of the rest of the Western world did. They had managed to largely come out of it physically unscathed, with obviously lost a significant amount of people, generations, and financially quite unscathed. So
living the American dream.
That was sort of seen as the time of the American dream. And when people sort of talk about, when people get all nostalgic and fuzzy, and it tends to be, but Christ, even arch liberals like Stephen King, when he writes about sort of these wonderful days, he writes about his youth in the 1950s. It's that, and it's just that undercurrent of how awful things can still exist in what is something perceived as idyllic.
And if you think about how the novel opens, the first big part of the novel, beginning of the novel, when they're by the stream and it's romanticized and everything's wonderful, right?
It is.
And our first person narrator and the victim, even looks like they're made for each other, and they're smiling, and everything is wonderful, and the weather's good, everything's perfect.
Sunshine, paddling with their shoes off in the stream on a warm day.
Yeah, as well. Yeah. So evil can exist anywhere, even in a place like that. And also, even evil can exist in anybody. Even your smiling neighbor. Maybe a neighbor who's the popular aunt for all the children, who gives them drinks every now and then, a beer. All the boys like her.
Well, how many smiling neighbor? How many serial killers have been described by their neighbors of? Oh, he was lovely. He was a bit quiet, but other than that, he seemed really nice.
Yeah. We'll get to her later, but no, absolutely. So setting is a very important thing. Setting and this idea of the normalcy, and like you say, the place and time. But then we get to the narration. Got a lot to say about this as well.
Same here.
You start.
What I'd say about the narration is it does a very, very good job of making you just as culpable as David, as the narrator. This is basically putting you in the shoes of him and almost daring you to say, right, what the hell would you do different if you were 10 years old or 12 years old or however old David was?
Exactly. And I actually feel like jumping ahead because I got my things a bit wrong here to talk about David. Because David, when we look at him, like you say, he's 11, 12 years old. Do we sympathize with him? At what point is he guilty or not guilty? There's a moral ambiguity thing going on there. There's a conflict, right? And the fact that we are in his shoes because we are looking at it through his eyes, the entire event, this really is key. Because he is 11, 12 years old. And he's got all these choices, very tough choices. Because on the one hand, what he's seeing is he knows it's absolutely wrong. And on the other hand, as you read the novel, you see like he wants to see her naked body. Like 11, 12 years old, it's like, right? And also, on the other hand, he's like got Ruth, the aunt, who's the adult figure.
Yeah.
Important. She's a authority figure in the book. And at that time as well, you're talking about that time and place. It's about households, male, female, children are seen, not heard, whatever, or children, they have to obey the authority figure. And whatever happens is the parents know what's going on. They're right, and the child is wrong. You listen to whoever's in power, in authority, in this case, truth, right? So he's torn. He can sense things are wrong, but he's ashamed about the way things. He feels guilty, but at the same time, he thinks that the aunt's got things under control, even when things start spiraling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's got that divide going on, between what he knows is right and wrong and, the authority figure and all of that. But there's another side to this as well, which as adults, it's easy to forget. But I probably remember it a little bit more because I've got daughters and I've had teenage daughters as well. And one of the things that's easy to forget when you're older is that boys are assholes when they're young. And I'm saying that as someone who was one, when they turn into teenagers and that cusp of turning into teenagers, they turn into bigger assholes and they do stupid bloody things. And we all look back on our time as kids. Blokes look back on our time as kids, or try not to, but when they do, they think, God, I was an idiot back then. I really, really was. And the one thing you have to give David a bit of slack for is the brain is not developed into not being an asshole yet.
Yeah. That's actually totally true. He's a child.
Yeah.
And the fact that he actually is cognizant of the fact that there's something wrong, right? Yeah. And all the rest of the kids in the neighborhood, go under this woman's, we're going to talk about mobs and peer pressure and everything. The fact that he's a one kid who actually realizes there's something wrong. And he doesn't act until it's too late, but he doesn't, But the thing is, you got to give him some slack for that. But he's not meant to be. I think Jack Ketchum wrote the character first person narrator as a boy because we have to respond to it in the way we see fit. But it's like, it's a moral ambiguity. It's the fact that you're going into the situation kind of as a kid, you don't really know what's right or wrong, but you feel something's off. And it's as an adult, and I'm stealing this from some review that I saw somewhere, something I read. If you think about, I wanted to go into this later, but if you think about Nazism and authoritarianism, okay, and you think about Hitler, and you think about the fact that he's an authority figure, he's going to say to you, everything's fine.
Yeah.
We're fine. Germany's fine.
Yeah.
And people are going to say, they're not going to push back.
And if there's problems, it's their fault.
It's their fault. Yeah.
And
the Jews. It's the Jews.
You do something to them, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't think I was going to go there so early, but I did. And even Jack Ketchum, when he talks about this novel, he talks about Nazism. Because this is what it's about, pushing back or not pushing back.
It's not just Nazism; it is totalitarianism on any level. Yeah. I mean, it's East Germany during the 50s and 60s. It is Nazi Germany. It's all of those things. It is just. Is it easier to take all our anger and project it onto somebody who has been depicted to us as not being really human and deserving all of this?
I mean, that's where you came up with the idea about normalizing someone that's subhuman, right? And it's so easy as human beings to pick a scapegoat. Say, right, yeah, we're going to pick on you because you're the scapegoat. So we get back to the novel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on.
And it's been used. And do you know what the stupid thing is? It has been used so many times throughout history. It was used in Nazi Germany. It was used in Soviet Russia. It's been used in between the Tutsis and the Hutus in Rwanda. It's just the easiest thing in the world. Those people over there, they are the reason why everything is shit with your life. So they are not human. They are subhuman, and it is okay to hate them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry,
and this book,
I'm starting to get political.
Absolutely. I'm going to go this hoping my wife sees something. Yeah. unless she's tuned out already because of our anger. Because this book is about making you angry. And you're supposed to be angry, people. You are supposed to be angry. And this book is a microcosm, from what I understand, of everything we're talking about right now.
Yeah, it really is.
Because Ruth, okay, let's look at Ruth. I'm actually going out of these things right now because we're going to roll. I'm going out of the banners right now because we're kind of on a roll here. And I want to talk about what we've just been talking about, but in the book, right? And Ruth, and she's misogynist. She's got this internal misogyny. She's getting older. No, let me just say first, she's getting older. She knows she's getting older, and there's this bright young thing, who is beautiful, blossoming into womanhood, right? And she learns to hate, and it's small things at first, and it's the same thing when we talk about all the things you've been talking about, Nazism, everything, Rwanda, all those things. It's small things. It doesn't start big.
No, it never does.
It starts with small evil action, just with, in the case of Ruth, just kind of punishment, making sure everyone understands that she's not welcome or she's excluded. She must go back inside and do the dishes, whatever it is. It's just little things that just escalate.
There's that, and there's the other thing that she does, which is quite clever, which is she holds Meg's sister.
Oh, yeah. The sister holds her sister.
You have to put up with this, otherwise it's her that will deal with that will be the one who is facing these consequences.
It's just a way of another form of abuse.
I will say one thing about Ruth. And I want to say one thing about the novel as well. And the thing about this is, like I said, this is a book where you kind of have to know what you're getting into when you're reading it. So I read about the real Sylvia Likens case. And one of the things that was a bit of a factor in the way that Ruth was behaving, or whatever, I can't remember what that crazy bitch was called. Sorry. Pardon my language, but the real perpetrator of all of this, she had a daughter who had just been, who was pregnant, and a lot of the aggression that she was pushing on Sylvia was based on her own frustration with her own daughter, and I think Jack Ketchum actually kind of missed a trick a little bit in the book with not having some of that in there, because as far as the real psychosis or whatever the hell it was that forced her into that.
Yeah, I think he wanted to get the general feel. I mean, he leaves out a lot of things. We're going to go to the ending as well, but I think he wanted to capture the general feel of evil and of evil, and that it can. It's. I don't think he paid as much attention to those little details. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that he left out as well. I think about the cuts on her body, or there was something, I'm not sure, but there was a lot of torture that he left out.
Oh God, there was.
he was actually more interested in, what would drive a person to do this to another person, and to put it in front of us and say, this is what we're capable of as people.
Yeah.
And also, as we're talking about now, it's not just on the scale of the book, it's on a bigger scale. This is what we're capable of.
Yeah.
And basically, if we don't push back, if we're inactive, if we allow it to happen, it's going to happen. And I think that's what he's trying to say. So yeah, I agree with you. There are little things that he left out. I think he left quite a lot out, but I think he's trying to get a certain message across.
I think that's probably fair. Yeah, I think, and actually, maybe does she need extra things to try and explain her psychosis? No, she was clearly bloody awful, and just leave it at that. Yeah, fair play, fair point.
And, I mean, one of the big things I think in the book, it's about her jealousy. The fact that she's getting old, the fact that she's getting on. She's single, the husband's left her, she's got these kids, she doesn't want to be where she is, and here's this beautiful, young, vibrant thing. So she externalizes all her rage and on this child.
Yeah, it's bloody hard read, this is. Do you know something? It's a hard read, but I read it fast. It's car accident stuff. It's like the sore in your mouth that you can't help putting your tongue against.
It's like pulling off a plaster from it.
It really was. It just felt like something that you had to keep going back to the well of bloody suffering while you were doing it. And so even as difficult as it was, how long did we take to read it? 2-3 days, something like that.
Yeah. Because it's not a long book either.
No,
but you have to, you have to pull off that plaster. You have to rip it off. Right?
Can I say to anyone else who's in the chat who's watching this and who hasn't actually read it, I highly recommend doing what we did and read it with somebody else who you can just bat something over and say, shit, that part's getting a bit much.
Because we were talking back and forth on Discord and kind of it helps a lot. It helps a lot.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go back into the comments very quickly.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Whoa! I missed a lot. I missed a lot. But sorry, people. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to shoot through them. Okay. So hello, Peter. How you doing? Hello, someone hasn't read. And you're gonna bad. Hey, my friend. Incredible writer. That anyone else can do that better. Yeah.
Really enjoyed your live stream last week with you guys.
Yeah. Matt. Off season. Yeah, that's the cannibal one. Let's just say I enjoyed that a lot more. Yeah.
From my first Jack Ketchum, so I can't comment.
Yeah. Bad. I do not care about. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go a bit faster. Yeah.
There's one that's based on the original case, isn't there?
Sorry.
There's 2 films, I believe. There's an adaptation of The Girl Next Door, but there's also an adaptation of the Sylvia Likens story as well. There's 2 films. I haven't seen either of them, but I believe there is 2.
I haven't seen them. Wife started watching one and she put it down. She couldn't.
I don't think I can watch. I have no desire to watch either of them, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah. Well, after reading it, so I've got no more. I haven't even read the short stories at the end of the book.
No, I mean, still left that hanging. I haven't read it.
Yeah, that's actually very true. That's
very true.
So easy. And as we talked about earlier, those serial killers are going to come across as completely normal people next door that you chat to, no problem, and just so easy they can show the
facade of normality.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah.
Man's running a drunk girl. Oh, well done, Bad.
I mean, like, well done you for doing that. I mean, and there are many who wouldn't have, not because of morally thinking that what was going on was right, but just thinking, how the hell do I do this? And so, hats off to you for that.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can go to peer pressure and mob rules just now, because actually that's a very good point.
I mean, that's a big part of this, isn't it?
Yeah. It's being a child and a young adult, it's hard to figure out what exactly to do. Hey, Nicole.
Oh, hello, Nicole. I know you read this one, Nicole, as well. Nicole did a really, really good video on this actually a wee while ago. So I'd highly recommend everyone go onto Nicole's channel and check out her discussion on this.
Yeah, she's got a wonderful channel. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting off here because the spoilers start flying. Yeah.
Take
just
care.
Want to stop. Hello, all is well. Decent east. Okay, back. Thank you, my friend. Okay, and then what does it say that I got new comments here? Wait, I'm trying to figure this out here. Exactly. Jack Ketchum was get readers angry, and you're supposed to be angry. You're supposed to push back at the absolute injustice of what is happening. And
yeah, very much so. On the flip side, you also have to think, all right, what the hell would I have done different as a 10-year-old?
Yeah, exactly. No, but that's why the whole thing is there's a conflict there. And you're 10 years old, you're 12 years old, but there is that conflict as a human being to do the right thing and to just give in. Because we're going to talk about mobs now. If I can find it. We're skipping through it a little bit. There we go. Mob rules, peer pressure. And how easy is it to get, it's groupthink as opposed to being an individual and thinking for yourself and having moral integrity. But if you've got a group of your friends or people that you think of as family that start doing something rotten and bad, how easy is it to just... If you think about it, Ruth was a cool woman in the street.
She was the mom who let them have a beer.
And, taught them how to do things. And, when they had to do that thing with the tree, when they had that problem.
Very interesting part. That was a real... It was like... and the interesting part about that, the one person who really didn't want to take part in it was Meg. But the whole thing was about, okay, let's normalize me rallying you to do something violent.
Yeah. And they all went along except for Meg.
Yeah, and it's like, let's all do this thing, and we have to do it because these are clearly pests that need to be eradicated. They need to, we can't do it. We can't do it in the whole woods, but we can do it in our little corner here, where these things that are an invasion that we need to sort out, we can sort those out. And if you have not got the bottle to sort this out, then you're the problem as well.
Yeah, you're the problem. Go back inside and do the dishes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when I read that, it was like it was a fairly simplistic part of the book. It was it seemed like a fairly innocuous thing.
Yeah.
And then you kind of think about it afterwards, like, okay, no, this is her normalized. And if anything, that was really the start of Ketchum's sort of comment on totalitarianism, wasn't it?
Yeah. And normalizing violence and just, And one thing I picked up in the book as well, there was one part where the narrator is talking about interaction with Ruth and Meg, and how Ruth is about to slap her, do something, but her hand is like there, and she doesn't. She brings it in, just humph, and then go back inside. And it's almost like the narrator understands that this is the start of something. There's that moment right there where things went. That moment before actually hitting her, and stopped herself and just get inside. It's like this transition between different types of violence and abuse and emotional, it starts off as emotional and it's a separation from the pack and all that. And just those moments when it gets violent. Yeah, and you're right about those pests in the trees. That was important.
If we're talking about sort of the mob rule and the peer pressure thing, there's a point sort of later on, and again, this is real spoiler territory now, but after David is kind of confined with them as well, when he's talking to one of the others. I think is it either one of the brothers who is a little bit less, I think it's one of the brothers who's a bit less sort of concerned what's going on, and he's trying to talk to him about, you've done less, you need to think about going to the police now as well. And it's like there's degrees of them, there's I will watch and not do anything and not do anything. I will not do anything too bad. And then there's the others who will,
those sons. Sorry, I'm going to talk about it. Scene really, and there's those sons that use her as a freaking tackle bag. And, that sickened me to a point like, just really, because that was kind of the start. It wasn't the start of it, but it was somewhere there. It was like, oh no, I'm not going to go into that.
Do you know something? That was one of the things that
really hated me. There were some parts that really hurt me, and that was one of them.
That was one of the parts that was actually very, very close to the real case, because I think, and it wasn't one of her sons. It was like her daughter's boyfriend or something in the real case. I think he was into like judo or something like that, and he was just she was encouraged them to use her as like a
no.
It was.
I remember the others were just pummeling her like a foot rugby thing, and then the other one coming in. I lost it. I think that's where. And the thing is, we talked about, like, you're reading the book, and you get to a point, and you're angry, and you don't know if you can. It's not going to get any. You keep going, and it gets worse, and it gets worse, and it's worse than that. But that stood out for me. I really, really, that made me angry.
I mean, the one thing I'd say about the mob rules and the peer pressure side of things as well, there's the flip side of that, is where it all starts to come out and the blame starts to get pushed around.
Yeah,
because there was the scene with the police officer who Meg actually tried to speak to tell him what was going on. And he poo-pooed the whole thing, and it actually ended up with her being more violently treated as a result. Yeah. And then when that same police officer arrived in the house, he really came down hard on David. Is like, you saw this, you knew it was happening, and you did nothing. And it was like, yes, so did you.
Yeah, it's and this is a big part of the novel. The parent-kid divide, and the parent is supposed to be in charge, and the adults are supposed to be in charge. And what are they doing? Where are they when this sort of abuse and stuff is happening? Where are they? And the time that David goes to his parents and didn't say it out loud, but it's okay. She's allowed to discipline the child.
Yeah.
I think that he even said to them, she's in the basement and she's being hurt. Oh no, they're allowed to do what they want if the child's unruly or disorderly or whatever. So it's a real, I think Jack Ketchum is giving it to us as well. Where are the parents? Where are the adults in the situation? Right? Yeah. Am I shouting?
It is rage inducing. It does make you feel furious as you're reading it.
Yeah. It made me very angry. There's other scenes that it was more heartbreaking towards the end than angry. I was broken. Just breaking.
Yeah, agreed. It was. Can I just say, I've seen one comment on here from someone who's arrived who's asking what book this is.
Okay.
It might be worth pointing out we're reading The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum, which is...
Hey, Jack Carroll, it's A Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum.
Yeah. Fictional story, a novel that is taking inspiration from a true case that happened in the 1950s.
Yeah, very difficult novel. Okay. Oh wait, hang on. There's some more comments. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it could have made a movie showing the graphic stuff in it.
That's testament how great Ketchum's writing is.
Yeah, it's true.
Prose in there, even amidst the really horrible stuff. Yeah.
It's my first Ketchum novel, so yeah, it really was.
You know, the nice thing that what I enjoyed more about, well, obviously about Off Season and about any other horror novel, if you think about it, in The Girl Next Door, there's that realism. You don't have that separation from what is happening in front of you. There's no supernatural monsters. There's even in something like Silence of the Lambs, you're going to have like moments of humor. And there's no humor in this book, people.
No,
there's nothing. Not. There's no humor in this book. There's nothing to take you away from what is in front of you.
And to be honest, that's a good thing. It shouldn't have any humor in it.
Exactly.
There isn't a place for chuckles in this at all.
I agree with you. No, I'm agreeing with you. There's no place for it. There's no place for it in a book like this. And that's what makes it pretty genius. You're not supposed to enjoy the book. You're not supposed to feel happy. You're supposed to feel angry.
Yeah.
But other books like Off Season, The Cannibal Story, already you've got cannibals. So it's you don't have this level of reality and that you're there in there. Although in Off Season he doesn't flinch from the violence. It's also terrifying. It's very terrifying. But you still, in a book like that, you're going to get that. This book is completely unique. You are there in the blackness. Just the worst of what people can do to each other. That's it.
It really is. There's an element.
Yeah.
It's so weird, but I mean, like, it's easy to read a book about a serial killer being hunted or something like that, and read about all their violent crimes and things, and just thinking that it is just this is a piece of silly fluff fiction that I picked up in the supermarket, and this is a book about just one girl who dies, and it encapsulates the absolute worst of humanity in it.
Yeah, you go into the blackest of places, human heart, what we're capable of, and he doesn't flinch away from that. He doesn't. And like you said earlier, yes, he does, but I think because we've got the first person narration, let's get back to that. And in fact, this is quite important because we're talking about being gratuitous. If we were inside Meg's head, what difference would that have made to the way we respond to the book? Because we're inside Dave's head, who's observing this, and we are complicit in what's happening. And there is that tension of, should I go get help? Should I stay? What should I do? Sometimes he's even saying, I'm part of the pack. Now, he's getting this feeling that he's part of something that's actually making him feel good.
Yes.
Yeah. And so if you're in Meg's head, how does that change?
One of the things I took away from it, and when I was reading it, it was, I don't know whether she just picked him out as like this island of semi-calm in all this chaos, but I felt when reading it that Meg was too kind to David. Yeah. Because Meg was all the way through, it was almost focusing on him as like, yeah, he's okay. He hasn't done anything to me. Yeah, but he hasn't done anything really to help. He's done a bit towards the end when it's kind of too late.
I agree with you. I don't think we're supposed to feel good about David.
No.
I don't think he's not a hero. We're not supposed to feel good about him.
No.
But at the same time, he's human, and he's 10 years old, 11 years old, but he's not a hero.
No.
And that's the tragedy is that he's showing us how people are in broader society with Nazis and with this, and with everything we talked about earlier. That's how that's human nature. You've got someone in authority that is telling you this is okay to do, and you do it without question instead of pushing back.
And I would say this, I mean, like trying to avoid being political at all, but
yeah, I'll try very hard not to be political. But this book,
on both sides of the political divide, be very wary of anyone who is telling you that the other side is evil, because they're not. They're people, and yeah.
But you see, that's a sad thing that's happening right now. I mean, I'm South African. Yeah, that's what happens.
Which is a complex.
It's complex. It's complex. And the biggest way to divide people is get them to fight and call each other evil.
Yeah.
Right? That's the biggest way to divide people, is to get them to fight each other instead of actually doing something that is right and decent and good. So, yeah, I'm not going to say anything more about that. I'm very saddened, but we're going to stop there. Let's look here. I've only read off season. But I suppose it's easy to say from afar, right?
Oh, very much so. Oh, God, yeah. It
is. I read a book called Boy Called It. Yeah, I've heard about that. A terrible, terrifying abuse case. Yeah.
I've heard it. Isn't that based on a true story as well?
Yeah. It's more autobiographical, I think.
It's more like a documentary style thing rather than an actual, yeah.
But I think he's telling his story as an adult. Earlier on, later, it's too late. Yeah. But I think what comes through in the writing, because remember, he's adult writing the story from his recollections of when he was 11, 12 years old. And I think you can feel the shame and the guilt and the remorse.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's. Yeah. I don't think there's any abdication of any of the guilt and the shame in this. I think, for the most part, I have some issues, but for the most part, I think the way it's presented is like, no, I was there. I did this as well. I might not have actually physically partaken, but I was part of this.
Yeah. And he talks about how he's had 3 failed marriages and how his life's a mess. So, yeah, this is something that's imagining. Yeah. Terrifying. Okay, let's go back to the banners. Okay, we got to name mob rules. Okay, let's talk about Ruth. Well, we kind of talked about her. We've kind of gone on about this already, right? Motivations, that she's jealous and goes beyond that. She's pretty mad, and she internal misogynist. It's getting old. Her husband's left her. We don't really know if there's anything else. Ketchum doesn't tell us, but we can assume that she's goes mad with rage and jealousy, and that there's this pretty thing. Remember the way he treats her.
I mean, what Ketchum does show is that she does spiral. She goes from being, a homemaker who's dealing with all of this stuff to someone who just retreats to her room and doesn't, and the house goes to rack and ruin, and the children go to rack and ruin, and she kind of comes out headache. He does show her spiraling down. But, it's... I don't think he tries to, I don't think he tries to explain away or to excuse anything that she's doing. It's just like she's just she starts off with a level of frustration with her life, which she projects onto Meg.
Yeah.
And I think it goes from being less about Meg and more about her own enjoyment of corralling all of this aggression and, taking all of these youngsters and making them do things that is outside of what they would ordinarily do.
Yeah. And she just spirals into madness.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that, I don't have a lot to say about this, but you have to say when you're reading the book and if you pay attention to details, like where you spoke about the tree and getting them together as a group activity there to destroy the pests on the tree, and little things, the little clues as you read. I'm sure there's other things as well that I haven't picked up. As her state of mind at different points in the book, and towards the end. But the ending disappointed me.
Yeah, me too. Are we going to talk about that one?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah.
Okay. After you.
Okay. Yeah. I think it was too clean. What happened to Ruth? And in the real life case, it's actually quite tragic. In the real life case, she was convicted, but she got off, and she spent a lot of her life. I don't even know if right now, but she spent.
Oh, she didn't get off. She went to jail for years.
But she went to jail. But then she later on she was free for the last portion of her life, and absolutely.
It wasn't. No, I think she got out on parole based on the fact that she was pretty much a model prisoner when she was in, and when she got out, she died like 4 or 5 years later from lung cancer.
Okay, maybe I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with that. I mean, like, I'm not the world's biggest supporter of cancer, but if it's going to go to someone, I'm fine with that one.
Yeah, I need a cigarette. Just kidding. Okay, now, I did not enjoy reading about one of the sons. But apparently he became a minister or a preacher, saying Jesus saved him, and I was not okay with that. And
there was a whole thing
young to be tried, and it's like, no.
There was a whole thing about her daughter, who was one of the ones who was convicted as well, where she was found working in a school, and then it came out about who she was. But I mean, like, that's the real life case. But in the in the book, the ending, it was
too neat. It was too clean.
It wasn't just that. It was like it gave David a sort of catharsis and a heroism that he didn't deserve.
Yeah. I agree with you.
He didn't deserve to be able to say, I'm going to avenge everything on from Meg on you now. And it's like, no, you don't get to do that. Sorry, mate. But you were... and that was one of the things that dragged the rating down to this book down for me, was that bit where... Because I don't think David as a character deserved that.
No, he didn't. And also the fact that the adult watched on while he did it and said, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Yeah, we know what you've been through, so we'll leave it. She slipped, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, an adult just...
Yeah. I didn't like it either. I agree with you. It was a messy reality that was tied up in a neat bow that I didn't like.
Yeah, absolutely. And all I'm going to say, we can see if there's any other comments quickly. Then all I'm going to say is this book was
is a fantastic book that I don't recommend to anyone to read.
Yeah. No, exactly. You can't recommend it. It's not enjoyable. And living your truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I was cheated on and divorced as a woman, my ego and sanity will be okay. Watch me enjoy the rest of my life. And lucky man. See ya. Yeah, my friend. Give me 3 days and I'm taking my book. And my friends, thank you for sticking with us. And if anyone else has stuck with us all the way through this,
this is a rough one. I think if we're going to do another live chat, Cliff, we probably should do something with a bit more chuckles in it next time.
Yeah, I think so. Something along the line of like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, something like that.
Don't get me started on Hitchhiker's. I love Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yeah. No, this was a bleak book, but it was very good buddy reading it with you. It helped a hell of a lot.
I couldn't genuinely. I don't think I've been eyeing this book up for a long time, but I genuinely don't think I could have done it without knowing that there was somebody else there who was going through this as well, who we could just sort of say, dude, this bit's awful. And yeah. So thanks for that. Appreciate it.
I had some quotes here, not from the book. I think that encapsulates the book. And I think even Jack Ketchum mentioned these quotes when he talked about this book. He says, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing.
Yeah.
And another one, and I think this is about Ruth, evil always starts with small cruelties.
Yeah.
And when they become normalized, they become bigger. And then if they get an audience, right, they get an audience, then, yeah. Yeah. Any final words, my friend?
Again, my words on this book are always going to be the same. I went into this thinking it was going to be exploitative, worried it was going to be exploitative. It's not. It is actually, despite the violence on show, it's quite respectful and it's very, very good. I kind of think that doing a fictionalized version is the only way to do it respectfully, and I think Jack Ketchum did it extraordinarily well. I don't recommend anyone reading it unless they know what they're getting into. If you know what you're getting into, I think it is. You won't enjoy it. I can promise you that. But it is a worthwhile read.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely worthwhile. But I agree. You're not going to enjoy it, but you might finish the book thinking this is a powerful book, and it makes you feel. It makes you feel angry. It makes you feel upset, it makes you feel saddened, but those are good emotions when you're reading this book.
You're meant to feel pissed off of this. You're not meant to come away from this and think, and not feel anything.
The way that this book is intended to make you feel is angry, and to get you to think about the nature of evil, and humankind and people, and that we're capable of atrocities and of terrible deeds. And that we need to be maybe cautionary as well, the way we need to behave. And, people are telling us what to do. I got that from that after thinking, I'm going on about authoritarianism and all that. I don't want to get political, but people tell you what to do, don't just say yes.
And if someone is pointing towards a particular group of people and saying they're evil and you need to do something about them, maybe question it.
Re-question it. Think about it. Think about for yourself. And as I say, I'm not American. I'm very saddened because I see people fighting against each other. Something that's, I'm not going to get political.
No.
Yeah. And I'm not pro-Trump. Forget it. But everyone, thank you so much for watching.
Thank you. It's a difficult one to sit through. Appreciate it.
This was a difficult one, So say goodbye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay. This is the awkward one where I actually have to... Oh, shit. I have to actually go out and then end the stream. So we're still live.
Okay.
And then